Okay, welcome everyone. We are going to get started. My name is Stephanie Carroll, and I'm the Directing Attorney of Public Counsel's Consumer Rights and Economic Justice team. This series of webinars is brought to you by a collaborative of legal services organisations, including the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles, Housing and Economic Rights Advocates, Tzedek, East LA Community Corporation, the National Housing Law Project, Neighborhood Legal Services of Los Angeles, One Justice, and Public Counsel. Tonight is the third webinar in our consumer series for wildfire survivors and is focused on student loan issues. The session is being recorded in English and Spanish and will be made available on our website and that of our partners. Public Counsel is committed to language justice and accessibility, and we're constantly trying to improve our practices. Please bear with us if there are any delays or technical glitches. Our aim is to be as inclusive as possible. Please let us know about other language or access needs you or your community may have. When we're sharing screens, you'll see slides and the presenter side by side. You can use the white tab in the middle of the screen as a slider to shift the size of the screen share or the speakers. After the presentation, we will do our best to answer any questions. Please note, this is a Know Your Rights presentation and is not intended to be legal advice. If you have a legal problem, you should consult with an attorney separately. Our guest speaker tonight is Robyn Smith, a national expert on student loan issues. Robyn is of counsel with the National Consumer Law Centre, or NCLC, and concentrates on student loan and for-profit school issues. She also works on these issues as a senior attorney at the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles. In 2024, Robyn was appointed to the advisory committee of the Bureau for Private Post-Secondary Education, which is the state agency that regulates for-profit colleges operating in California. Robyn is author of many publications, including NCLC's Student Loan Law Manual. Among other roles, before joining NCLC, Robyn worked at the California Attorney General's office. She also represented low-income consumers in a wide range of consumer law matters as the directing attorney of the Consumer Law Project here at Public Counsel in LA, which is my current job. And she clerked for the US District Court Judge Judith Key. So welcome so much, Robyn. Thank you very much for being here tonight, and please take it away.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. So we're going to go through some dense information, but we're going to go slow. And of course, we're here to answer any questions you might have. So as a start, I'm going to start talking about federal student loans and how you can manage them if you have survived a disaster. So first, you should know that if your address on file with your student loan servicer is in a FEMA designated disaster area, you should get an automatic payment pause called a disaster forbearance for your federal student loans. The forbearance will last for 90 days. And but to be eligible, your loans must not be in default. So if you're not sure if you have a disaster forbearance, or you want to make sure you have one, it's always a good idea to call your loan servicer and ask. If you call and your loan servicer tells you your loans are not in forbearance at that time, you can request the disaster forbearance. And you just have to tell them again what your address is and make sure that they know it's in a disaster designated FEMA location. Now, if your loans are in default, you can still request a 90-day payment pause. To do so, you need to call whoever your current loan servicer is, explain that you are experiencing financial hardship because of the disaster, and then they should give you a forbearance for 90 days. So here's a few facts about, or FAQs about disaster forbearance. The first that you should know is that interest will continue to accrue while your loans are in disaster forbearance. The good news is that each month you're in a disaster forbearance will count as an income-driven repayment plan payment, including for public service loan forgiveness. An extension is available if you need additional time and you're not in default, you can call and request um, an extension from your loan servicer. Okay. So how do you know if you're in default or who is your loan servicer or what payment plan you have? The first is you can log into your account at studentaid.gov, and you just use your FSA ID, or you can create one at the studentaid.gov website. The second is that you can create a login onto your loan servicer's website. So for example, if your loan servicer is Mohila, you can go onto Mohila's website and create an account there as well. And the final option is if you don't have access to a computer or you don't have a log or aren't able to log in for some reason, you can also call 1-800-4-FED-AID. So here are some other options. If you're impacted by the fire because your income was either reduced or you lost your job, but you don't live in a FEMA designated disaster area, you have several other options because you won't be eligible for a disaster forbearance. So the first option is you can apply for an income-driven repayment plan, which is essentially a payment plan that's based on your income and your family's household size. And not everyone will be eligible for an income-driven repayment plan. It's a little complicated, but we are going to give you a little information about who you can call for more help on this at the end of the presentation.
And Robyn, I think oh, sorry to interrupt, we're getting up for an interpreter switch out.
Okay.
So
So folks who do not live in a FEMA designated disaster area, but whose income was reduced or lost due to the wildfire, still have some options, even if they're not eligible for disaster forbearance. The first is they can apply for an income-driven repayment plan or an IDR plan. And this is a plan that sets your monthly payment based on your income and your household size. So it can result in a much lower payment than the standard monthly payment you're expected to pay. And it can be as low as $0 a month. If you're interested in this option, there's more information on the Department of Education's website. And I will give you some information about who in California you can contact for free assistance in exploring this option and applying. Now, some of you may already have an income-driven repayment plan, but you've also experienced financial hardship and a reduction of income. If you have an IDR plan, you can apply to have your monthly payment reduced. Again, to do so, you would go onto the website at studentaid.gov. Or you can go on your student loan servicer's website and you can submit a request to lower your monthly payment based on your reduced income. Some other options for your loans, and this, whether you're eligible will depend on the status of types of loans you have. One is called an unemployment deferment. Another option is a general forbearance. Both of these, you just should call your loan servicer to ask about if you are interested in these options. And the last is if you are disabled and unable to work because of your disability, you may be eligible for a complete cancellation of your student loans. So I want to give a couple important tips um, since after surviving a disaster. To make sure you get important notifications about your student loans, you should make sure and set up your email notifications at studentaid.gov and on your loan servicer website. You shouldn't change your mailing address with your loan servicer because it's based on that address that you can get a disaster forbearance. So if you want to receive paper mail, you want to receive hard copy of your letters and notifications, or you need to receive those, you should instead set up a forwarding mail address with the United States Postal Service. Another important tip is to not let your loans go into default. And your loans will go into default if you miss 9 consecutive months of monthly payments. If your loans go into default, there can be severe consequences because the government can do a number of things without getting a judgment against you. They can garnish your wages, take your federal income tax refunds, garnish a portion of your Social Security retirement benefits, garnish a portion of your Social Security disability insurance benefits, or file a lawsuit against you. So it's best to avoid this by trying to get an income-driven repayment plan, for example, or there are a number of other options for dealing with student loans if you can't afford the monthly payments. A couple of other things that can happen if you are in default. First, you also become ineligible for financial aid. And of course, the default will be reported on your credit reports, and that will impact your credit score. So we're getting to the end of our presentation where we will have time for questions. But before we do so, I wanted to warn folks to watch out for student loan scams. Here we have a list of very common things to watch out for. So first, watch out for promises that your loans can be canceled because of a natural disaster. There is no such loan cancellation. You cannot get your loans canceled for this reason. If anyone wants you to sign an agreement to pay upfront fees for any kind of service, For example, they want you to pay $200 before they enroll you in an income-driven repayment plan or consolidate your loans. That is illegal and is something that you can get help with for free. If anyone requests your FSA ID, which is your password for studentloan.gov, don't give it to them. That also is something that is illegal. If anyone requests that you sign a power of attorney, another sign that it is a scam. You should never have to sign a power of attorney to get help on your student loans. Also, watch out for requests that you sign an agreement to make periodic, quarterly, monthly, regular payments to anyone for them to help you handle your student loans. This is also another common scam that we see where people make payments, but they don't get anything in return. When you get an email or a call and you're in doubt, call your loan servicer. Then you can see if the call was real. Because really, the only person who will probably be calling you about your student loans is your loan servicer. All right, now we're going to talk about private student loans. So first, what is a private student loan? A private student loan is one that was not made by the federal government. So it could have been made by your school or by a bank or another private company. Sometimes it's hard to know whether your loan is private or federal. So one way to figure that out is to log in to studentaid.gov. If your loan that you're getting a call or letter about is not listed on studentaid.gov, it will probably be a private student loan. Unfortunately, private student loans don't have the same protections that federal loans have. That means that you're not eligible and won't receive any kind of automatic disaster forbearance. However, you can call your loan servicer and ask for a 90-day forbearance. And this means you just essentially ask your loan servicer for a payment pause for 90 days because you are experiencing financial hardship due to the disaster. If your request is denied, you should consider filing a complaint with the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. This is the government agency in California that's responsible for overseeing loan servicers. If you file a complaint, they will let the loan servicer know you did so. And often loan servicers will cave in at that point and give you a forbearance. Oops. So this is going to be the end of my part of the presentation. And I'm on the wrong slide here. I wanted to share a few resources where you can find more information.
Thank you so much, Robyn.
I'm sorry, before I end, we'll go back to this slide, but I did mention to everyone, if you live in California and you have a student loan issue and you don't understand much of this presentation, or you have questions, or just want help in general with your student loans, you can get free assistance from the Student Loan Empowerment Network. And you can do so by calling the phone number here or going to this website.
And we'll put this slide back up in a moment. If you could just go to the slide that has all the organizations. Thank you. So thank you so much, Robyn, for that wonderful presentation. Here are a list of the legal aid organizations serving LA County who are involved in this collaborative. The Legal Aid Foundation of LA is highlighted because that is who presented to you tonight with the wonderful Robyn Smith. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to open it up to any questions from the attendees. So if you have any questions, raise your hand or put them in the Q&A. And if we don't have any questions, I'm going to see if Joanna Adler or Sierra Swan, who are part of Public Counsel student loan team, have anything they would like to add. I see Joanna has appeared.
Sure. So sometimes we get a question about people who are put in the automatic disaster forbearance, but they're worried about the interest still accruing, and also, what are their options? And the second part of that question is, will the interest capitalize? Meaning, will it be added to the principal balance of the loan at the end of the forbearance period?
I don't know the answer to capitalization, Joanna. You might know, but they can call and ask to be taken out of the forbearance, and they can continue making payments on their loans. So they don't have to agree to it, but I don't know the answer off the top of my head about capitalization.
From what I understand, I don't believe the interest is capitalized
Okay.
during the forbearance. And yes, even if you can't make the full monthly payment, you can also still make a partial payment towards the interest amount. So you can take advantage of having if you want a pause on the majority of your monthly payment, but still make a payment towards the interest amount if you don't want your balance to accrue.
Correct.
We have a question just in. This is a big question, folks. What is the likelihood of the president making an executive order cancelling the Department of Education? And how would this affect student loans?
Well, that is a big question, isn't it? Um, the reality is that the Department of Education was created by statute by Congress. Um, so legally speaking, he can't just make an executive order to cancel the Department of Education. That is Congress's job. However, as we can see, if we have seen, he can make it difficult for the department to do its job by hiring freezes, by having people who he's appointed refuse to spend money. There's a number of things that he can do. But as far as canceling the Department of Education, for now, he can't just do it by executive order. It would be something he'd have to do um, with Congress. I don't know if you have anything to add, Joanna or Steph.
Not on that one. Any other questions or anything else, Joanna or Robyn, you would like to add? If not, I will say that one of the issues that comes up quite a lot for our bankruptcy team is whether student loans are dischargeable in bankruptcy. And I would encourage you to make an appointment at our bankruptcy clinic, the details for which can be found on the Public Counsel website. Historically, it wasn't possible to discharge student loans. There are some options available now, but it very much is a fact-intensive inquiry. Okay, I have another question here. Someone with a lot of trouble with forbearances because they were told the department never told them the interest would be capitalized. So they did it 3 or 4 times and had thousands of dollars added in interest. It's much more recommended to get into the IDR plans or make sure to do research and speak with activist organizations like the Student Loan Empowerment Network to make sure about the capitalization of interest. Any comments on that?
No, I mean, unfortunately, when you come in and out of certain types of forbearances, there are circumstances where your interest can be capitalized. And what that means is that the interest you've earned on your loans will be added to your loan balance, and then future interest is charged on the new loan balance. So that's what interest capitalization is. And that can happen also in some circumstances when you switch IDR plans. Or come out of deferments. So really, it's not a good idea to go in and out of forbearances. If you can have a plan to, for example, get on an income-driven repayment plan and manage your loans that way, that's often the best way to do it. Sometimes you can't avoid forbearances because life happens, right? And as we've seen, disasters happen. But it is really smart to try to figure out a long-term solution that will work for you. Whether it's income-driven repayment, it could be public service loan forgiveness. Maybe you're eligible for a type of discharge. These are all good reasons also for you to call the Student Loan Empowerment Network because this is a complicated area and we understand that people need help navigating this system.
Wonderful. Well, on that note, I would just like to extend a huge thank you to Robyn Smith. We are so lucky to have such a brilliant expert in our midst. Thank you also to Joanna from Public Counsel for being part of the panel. And a really, really big thank you to all our interpreters, both Spanish and ASL, and our captioner. Thank you so much, Language Justice team, for helping make this presentation accessible to all. So thank you very much, and I'm going to stop recording now.